What's up guys, Mike Builds. Welcome back to another video. First and foremost, let me express my appreciation for all the views we got on this engine. I had no idea that this thing was going to get 300,000 views. So I don't know if I got really lucky in the algorithm or people are really genuinely that interested in a little Chinese diesel. But either way, I'm cool with that. So in this video, I'm going to actually finally mount this. And we're gonna get this thing mounted. I need to do an oil change on it, and then we're gonna mount the alternator and start building our battery charger, kind of like what I talked about in the first video. So I did get a million comments about the fuel filter being on backwards, but I'm not gonna do anything about it because I'm lazy and there's no point now. So we're just gonna run that just for now. Other than that, that's it. I still don't know what I'm gonna do about the shaft. I might shave it down. And a lot of people were telling me just buy the correct size pulley, but I want to be able to put a torque converter on this for a go-kart in the future to do more testing. So I might just bite the bullet, shave it down very slowly and non-evenly, but you know, we're just gonna work with what we got. And yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing mounted. I found this 1/4-inch piece of plate steel, so I'm gonna put the engine on that, get the holes drilled. And then once it's mounted to this, I'm gonna build or weld together some sort of frame to put this on because this thing shakes a ton. But yeah, I was really crazy. I was really blown away about how many views this thing got. So you guys must be very, very interested in this little engine. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and do that, get the holes made, get this plate mounted to something and kind of go from there. Once we get to that, I'll show y'all how everything's looking. I'll show you guys my starting procedure. I did learn to start this thing a lot easier than the first video. Obviously, if it was mounted, it would have made it a lot easier, but I know a trick now, so. In the last video we unboxed this engine. I ran it a little bit, and yeah, a lot of you guys were kind of leaving some funny comments, so I appreciate that. I had no idea that video was going to get 400,000 views, so that's nuts. Either you guys are very interested in the Chinese diesel engine, or the algorithm got really lucky and I got a lot of views. But anyways, this is going to be the part 2. So I did go ahead and mount the engine on a steel plate because that was a lot, like maybe a third of the comments tell me to mount it. The other third was telling me the fuel filter was on backwards, and another third was telling me my yard looked like crap. So I did cut my yard. See, it looks good now. But anyways, so the part 2, like I said, I already got it mounted. I'm gonna build some sort of frame out of the square tubing I have here. This is 1.5 inches. It's gonna be pretty heavy duty just because the engine's gonna vibrate a lot. And for the generator itself, a lot of people were kind of asking me how I was gonna do it. And I'm not gonna be using like a traditional generator head. Kind of like this, for example. This is just a normal gas generator where you have to maintain engine RPM in order to get the frequency. So these turn at 3,600 RPM to give you 60 Hertz. So we're not going to be able to mess with that on the diesel because this thing supposedly only revs to 3,000. So that's not going to work. So my plan is, I have this old hub motor. This came off a Chinese, like high-powered Chinese scooter that I've had for probably about 10 years now. And it's actually a 6-phase motor. Well, it's 2 3-phase motors inside. So we have 6 phase wires coming out, and they're 2 separate 3-phase windings in there. So that's it. My plan is to get a pulley, build a frame, get a pulley mounted on the Chinese diesel, belt it to this, run the phases through a rectifier. We're going to see the voltage coming out, and then from there we're going to take that voltage and be able to charge batteries. I have no idea how much voltage it's going to put out yet until we get it all built and mounted, and then we got to run it and see what RPM we got to spin this at in order to get the desired voltage. So kind of still up in the air about how we're doing that, but that's the basic idea what we're going to be doing. So I also ended up breaking the pull start for like the 5th time. I've rewound this thing like 5 times, but I keep breaking it, so I don't know. I'm just not very good at starting this. So we're gonna end up using a drill to start this, and I'll show you how to do that. And a lot of people are probably thinking there's no way a drill will start this, but I will show you all my technique. Once I get the frame built, we'll fire this thing up and kind of go from there. I still don't have a pulley for the shaft because it's a 20mm shaft. So I have to either order the right pulley or sand that one down. Not sure what I'm gonna do yet. But yeah, so anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and get this frame kind of built, put together. Once everything's mocked up, I'll show you all how it looks. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking so far for the frame. We're just gonna start by welding these 2 pieces of square tubing to the base plate. And yeah, it's a 1/4-inch thick piece of base plate, and this stuff's about, I think, 11 gauge. So we're gonna start by welding at this. Obviously we're gonna cut these shorter and then box it to make it stronger, but my goal is to make this frame very, very strong since this thing does vibrate a lot. And we're obviously gonna have to mount it to something rubber, otherwise this thing's just gonna bounce everywhere. So that's gonna be the first step. I'm gonna go ahead and get our Amazon stick welder out. We're gonna use this thing to tack this thing together. The reason I'm using a stick welder too is because I don't feel like cleaning all the rust off this. I'm trying to do this as lazily as possible, but still get somewhat of a good result. And I want to use the stick welder. I'm kind of not really good at stick welding, so it gives me an excuse to pull it out. And these are the sticks we're going to be using if anyone's curious. So I'm gonna get you guys set up on the tripod and that's it. Just do a couple shots of me welding this thing on there. It's a little windy out here, so if there's a little bit of wind noise on the camera, I do apologize. Don't bring them out yet. Okay, so I got a few tacks on our plate. I am going to go ahead and kind of clean some of the metal up, flip it over, put some more beads on the other side, put a couple more beads on the top side. I did go ahead and pull the engine off, and I'm going to do a quick oil change. So I'll probably run this thing for about maybe not even 30 minutes. So we're going to drain the oil just to see how much crap comes out, put some fresh oil in it while we have it off. And then, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get this all, you know, welded up. Then I need to cut these to length, you know, maybe to about here, maybe a little longer, not sure yet, and then box it in on either side, and this thing should be plenty strong. So I'll show you all the oil once I get it drained. It's very important, in my opinion, when you do buy one of these, any real engine, Harbor Freight engine, like the Predator engines for a go-kart or anything like this, where, you know, it doesn't really have an oil filter. I always believe when it's brand new, it's always a good idea to do a fresh oil change. Yeah, look how nasty this is, and it really doesn't have that much runtime on it. I'm telling you guys, very, very little runtime, especially because it wasn't mounted and it was very hard to run it. So I'm gonna let this drain out. You can see it's full. Well, I don't know how good it's gonna show up on the GoPro, but it definitely is full of metallic flake. But that's it, guys. So first oil change of the Chinese Amazon, and obviously diesel oil is always gonna come out nastier just because of the soot and stuff in the fuel. So I wasn't also doing it any favors by never letting this thing really get hot. But hopefully we're gonna have a working generator and we would really put some hours on this. I hope this thing holds up. There is another engine on Amazon that I do want to try out, and it's the Yanmar 10 horsepower clone. So I think in the future we're gonna scoop one of those, but I did want to mess with this one just for now, just because it was so cheap. So if you guys have bought them and used them, I had a lot of comments on the other video saying, you know, some people swore by these things, some people said they're junk. So I'm sure the truth lays in the middle. But anyways, gonna let this drain out, go ahead and get all that welding done up, and then once this is drained, we're gonna refill with oil, get it bolted back down, and that's it. Kind of keep going from there. Okay, the oil change is pretty much done. As you can see, the oil is gross, and I got this mostly welded. I just put a bunch of little 1-inch welds all around this. I'll be the first to admit I'm trash at stick welding, but that's why we're stick welding in this project, so we can get better at that. So we're gonna get some fresh oil on this thing, get it bolted all back together, and then start trimming the legs, start boxing that in, and move on to mounting their generator head, alternator, whatever you want to call that. All right, getting her filled back up. It uses about a quart, so what I do is I just dump it in until it starts to come out of here, and then I know it's full. And this is the oil I'm using. It's the Pronto Tech Preferred 15W40. I would recommend you run any sort of diesel engine oil in this, and I think it'll be okay. A lot of people were saying you got to use special oils. All right, guys, since I have this thing on the skid now, before I start cutting this up, I do want to start it, and I'll show you all my starting procedure real quick. And also, I just want to see how much more stable it is on the skid versus just, you know, setting it on the ground. So, because I broke the pull start and I'm too lazy to buy a new one, this is how I started. So first, you gotta turn the throttle to like a quarter. Put this in here. Obviously, this is not gonna have enough torque to spin this to the compression. So what I do is I'm gonna hold the compression release like this. Just like that, you guys, started right up. So. And that little noise you're hearing, there's some dirt and crap caught in the van. I just gotta get that out, but look, it'll work its way out. So. And that's it, that's how it started up. Alrighty guys, so this is the belt we're gonna be running, and this is the pulley I have for now. I don't know the gear ratio I need to run yet. I'm kind of just winging it for now. We're gonna run it and optimize it once we get it built. But I'm just trying to imagine how long I need to make the frame. So it goes out to about here. So even if we run a standard alternator with a real small pulley, that'll give us plenty of room. Or if we run that big hub motor, obviously it'll be a little closer because it'll be a bigger diameter. So I think I'm gonna cut this probably right about here. And that gives us about, you know, a foot and a half of working area. And then we can use the rest of this stuff to keep gusseting this up and build it a little bit stronger. And then same on the back. I'll probably take 6 inches off the back, use that material to box up the back, and the frame should be good. As far as mounting this with feet and all that, still haven't figured out how I'm going to do that, because I can pretty much guarantee you I can't just set this on the ground and let it run. It's going to rattle. So I'm thinking I'm just going to build a good base and then come up with a way to actually mount it, like, you know, from the base to the ground. Maybe I'll just put it on an old tire or something, or put rubber wheels on it. I'm not sure yet. But just for now, we're just going to make a real strong base platform, and then I can just set it in the yard when I want to run it instead of on the concrete, and have it bounce around and, you know, maybe mess some stuff up. So that's it. I'm just going to get these cut with the bandsaw and kind of gusset this up a bit and catch you guys up when we get that done. I did end up shaving the shaft down. Everyone's telling me not to do it, but I want to be able to put a torque converter on this one day to maybe put it on one of the mini bikes if I choose to do so. So I was going to shape the shaft no matter what. Everyone's saying, no, just buy the right pulley. And you guys are correct. You can't just buy the 20 millimeter shaft pulley, but then you have to order it on Amazon. And if it's not the size you want, you can't just go like, for example, Tractor Supply is where I got this one at, and they have a bunch of different sizes available to adjust your gearing. So I just very non-accurately shaved it down with a flap disc. I'm sure that's nowhere near, you know, uniform, but I mean, for what we're doing with it, it doesn't matter. We're not going to the moon or nothing crazy yet. So anyways, I'm going to get this all done and I'll show y'all once I get it cut. All right guys, so here it is kind of mocked up. So I did go ahead and get the base welded up. I'm really not good at stick welding. Part of me hates it, part of me wants to just pull the MIG out and say screw it, but you're not going to get better unless you try. So we're going to keep stick welding it just to get better. But anyways, this is kind of the mock-up of how it's going to go. So belt obviously going to go to the hub motor, and I do need to build next a bracket to hold the hub motor, and then it also needs to be a way to put tension on the belt because I don't want to have to add an idler pulley or nothing crazy like that. So not sure how I'm going to do that, but I think I'm going to end this video off right here. It's already going to be kind of a long video. So in the next video, we're going to build the bracket for that, get this thing semi-wired up, get it running, and then we're going to put the rectifiers on the output and see how much voltage we have. So that's going to be it for now, you guys. I appreciate you guys watching. And if you guys have questions or comments, obviously you know where to leave them, and I do my best to answer all of them. So thank you guys very much, and I'll see you on the next one.